India, the world's largest democracy, the world's fifth largest economy, a nation on the rise, but also a nation plagued by contradictions. We see gleaming skyscrapers alongside sprawling slums. We hear of billion-dollar startups while millions struggle for their daily bread. This is the India story, a story of dazzling progress and heartbreaking inequality. And at the heart of this story lies a critical question. Who really holds the power in India? Today, we confront this question head-on. We dissect the system that fuels India's engine, its tax system. The government, my friends, loves to talk about taxes. They tell us it's our duty, our contribution to nation building. But is it really that simple? India's tax system, much like its democracy, is shrouded in a veil of complexity. The government collects money in two primary ways: direct taxes like income tax and indirect taxes like GST. Let's talk about income tax first. A staggering truth, only 6.8 crore Indians, a mere 5% of the population, pay income tax. And within this small pool, the burden falls disproportionately on the shoulders of the middle class. The top 10% of earners contribute a whopping 80% of the total income tax revenue. Meanwhile, the super-rich, those who earn crores upon crores, often find ways to minimize their tax liabilities. Is this fair? Is this just? Now, let's move on to GST, goods and services tax. We were promised a simpler, more transparent tax regime. But what have we got instead? A confusing labyrinth of slabs and rates. Every year, the government presents its budget with great fanfare. They showcase grand plans for infrastructure development, healthcare, education. But have you ever stopped to ask, where does this money actually go? Let's take a look at the 2024 budget, a colossal 45 lakh crore rupees. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? But hold on, a staggering 14 lakh crore rupees, almost a third of the entire budget, is earmarked for just one thing: paying off interest on loans. We, the taxpayers of India, are working tirelessly to simply service our nation's debt. And what about the remaining funds? 10 lakh crore rupees for infrastructure, roads, bridges, airports. Sounds good, but how much of this actually reaches the ground level? How much is siphoned off due to corruption and inefficiency? 2.2 lakh crore rupees for healthcare, a pittance. Our public healthcare system is crumbling, hospitals are overcrowded, and people are dying because they can't afford basic treatment. 1 lakh crore rupees for education, again, a drop in the ocean. The quality of education in government schools remains abysmal. Our children are being denied a future because we are failing to invest in their present. And then there's defense, a whopping 5.9 lakh crore rupees. We need a strong military, no doubt. But can we afford such extravagant spending when our people are struggling to make ends meet? Chapter 4. The perpetuation of power. Why do they keep coming back? This brings us to the crux of the matter, the political class. If millions of Indians are suffering, if the system is rigged against them, why do they continue to vote for the same parties, the same leaders, election after election? Why do we see the same faces in power decade after decade? Some argue it's about caste and religion. Voters, they say, are blinded by identity politics. They vote based on their caste or their religion rather than on issues that truly matter: development, education, healthcare. Others point to the lack of a strong opposition. They say that the current crop of opposition leaders lacks credibility, vision, and the ability to connect with the masses. They are seen as pale imitations of the very people they seek to replace. And then there's the issue of freebies and populist schemes. Free electricity, subsidized food, monthly pensions, these are all carrots dangled by politicians to lure voters. These schemes may provide temporary relief, but they do nothing to address the root causes of poverty and inequality. Chapter 5. India at a crossroads: revolution or resignation. So, what does the future hold for India? Will we continue down this path of economic disparity and political apathy? Or will we witness a radical transformation? One possibility is that the government, under pressure from the people or due to economic compulsions, finally bites the bullet and undertakes comprehensive economic reforms. This would involve overhauling the tax system, making it simpler and fairer. It would also mean investing heavily in education, healthcare and social welfare programs to uplift the poor and create a more equitable society. But there's another, more unsettling possibility. If economic inequality continues to grow unchecked, if the voices of the marginalized remain unheard, we could see a surge in social unrest. Frustration could boil over into anger, leading to protests, riots, and even violence.
Chapter 6. The time for change is now, a call to action. My fellow Indians, we stand at a critical juncture in our nation's history. The choices we make today will determine the future of our children and grandchildren. Will we bequeath them a nation riddled with inequality and injustice? Or will we leave behind a legacy of progress and prosperity? The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. We, the people of India, must rise above our differences, shed our apathy, and demand better from our leaders. We must hold them accountable for their promises, their actions, and their inactions. We must demand a tax system that is fair, transparent, and benefits all sections of society. We must demand quality education and healthcare for all. We must demand an end to corruption and crony capitalism. We must demand a government that works for the people, not for itself. This is not a fight for the faint of heart. It will require courage, conviction, and unwavering determination.
Chapter 7. The future is in your hands. Speak up, India. Let's take a moment to recap what we've discussed. We've seen how India's tax system, while seemingly complex, is actually quite simple. The burden falls disproportionately on the middle class, while the super-rich and the politically connected often find ways to escape their fair share. We've seen how the government's spending priorities are skewed. More money is being spent on servicing debt and defense than on vital sectors like education and healthcare. We've seen how economic inequality is widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots, creating a society that is both morally and economically unsustainable. And we've seen how the same politicians manage to cling to power, election after election, exploiting the very people they are supposed to serve. But here's the good news: the power to change. Join the debate. The future of India is being decided now. Friends, this is not the end of the conversation. This is just the beginning. We need to keep asking tough questions. We need to keep the pressure on those in power. The future of India is at stake. In our next video, we will delve into the complex world of geopolitics. We will examine India's place on the global stage, its relationships with other nations, and how these dynamics impact the lives of ordinary Indians. Until then, I urge you to join the debate.